let's try this business out.
Sure.
All right, we are on air.
Oh, wait.
Streaming. What?
Let me get my makeup on. No. Oh
Girl,
no.
the whole show you could not be
Yeah.
missing from screen.
Let me get a face on. I'll be back in an hour.
Hour? What makes you think it's going? You could be done in an hour.
Oh, believe it or not. Well, more than I think about it, though, you are actually very correct because one, it's been a minute since I've done a face, period. And two, I know the last time I did it, it was not done in an hour. I thought I could get done. I was pretty much done, but I was done in a different done. Like fucking eyelash and
Nice.
like,
Typical drag shit.
yes. The things that you think will be easy aren't easy, and the things that you think are hard are the things that take like the second. Um, eyelashes for me have always been easy when I stop thinking about it.
Well, that's true.
I don't know
I mean, if you're not
if that
thinking
makes
about
any.
it.
If I'm just like, here we go, just put it on and be done, and then it's like, oh, it's on and it's good and you're fine. But the minute I start thinking about it, which is what happened this last, like, gosh, how long ago has that been? Fuck. I think it's been over a year. Yep. Anyway, last time, started thinking about it because I was rushing. I was a little late getting stuff together. Surprise. And yep, couldn't get it. Could not get them on for to save my life. One, I always had that Gia gun, like walkie eyelash, like
Listen to you using a RuPaul Drag Race reference to describe what you were dealing with.
yeah. Oh, and the worst one, I had like I put one on, and I couldn't open my eye. Like I had glued my eye shut. Anyway, but we won't keep going. We won't keep talking about that.
I don't know. We're entertained. Ain't nobody else paying attention to us right now, so they don't get to hear any of this. But later, maybe.
uh, but it got done. It just took a little bit longer, and we'll see. I might, emphasis on might, be doing it again here in the future.
I presumed if you were going to do it, you might have done it for the holiday show with the chorus.
Yeah. Well, I kind of did something along those lines. Oh, I don't know if I have. It wasn't really drag. It was. I didn't have one in makeup, but um, I should send that picture to the Facebook chat if I can find it. Ooh, come on. There we go.
You expecting technology to just work when you want? Is
I
that
know.
what, is that what it is?
Uh, that's the best one, I think. I have to. I know what I'll do. I'll crop these pictures and then I will send. So, edit. Oh my God. Auto and then crop the fuck out of this picture. Done. 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 And share. Oh. I'm going to get everybody but the thing I want. Telegram. There we go. Select. There. Message, bitch. She's a super queen. Surprise!
It would help if I wasn't on mute. You didn't hear any of that. Okay.
So as fuck didn't. Like,
I was trying to say to you, like, what did you think of my, oh, girl. You was flaming.
Uh-huh.
Wow. All right. Anyways, back to what I was trying to say was, what did you think of my revelation in the chat about a certain someone missing from the production?
Oh.
I'm thinking there's something going on there, and we just don't know what it is because I haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
All the online drama or whatever appears to be about this current cast. And who said what, and who did what, and who's not friends, and who still is friends, and
who fucking cares?
Well, what I'm living for is that the New York queens have taken to, you know what? I'm just going to point a camera at my face and I'm going to like produce a cute little video and talk shit about like my perspective and what went down and how it all played and all that. So,
yep.
I'm like, okay, girls. All right. I think I am ready.
Mm-hmm. I am as well. Putting the phone on vibrate. You stay over there. I'm going to get back to the dock. Go back to another. Ooh, you're in the wrong way. So you go up and you go down. And then we'll get back on here. All aboard, naked and arrested, drag.
You're in form, listen to you.
Apparently. I have a lot to say about the second episode.
Did you bring a whole teapot with you?
Nope. Wish I did. That's what I need. I need a prop.
Here, I gotta take all this shit out of here. I will show you what was gifted to me. Well, you already know this, and I should probably use it as a proper prop. Oh my god, I can't even talk.
It's okay.
I'll show it to you when we're
on air.
Yeah, when we're able to see each other. That being said, are you ready to start?
I am ready.
Okay,
ready.
Let's get kicking.
COL Drag Race.
Hey, kitty girls, it's Sunday, December 23rd, 2018. Welcome to Cubs Out Loud Drag Race T-Time All-Stars Season 4, Episode 2, Supergirl Groups. Henny. For those of you that don't know, I'm Gary as one of the co-hosts, and with me is my ever fabulous co-star here.
Hello, everyone. It's Damon. Welcome to the show.
Oh, and we got something to say, you know?
Yes. Yes, we do.
So, let me do a quick little fix because apparently Skype's going to be goofy that way and it's going to annoy the heck out of me. So, yeah, there's the thing. I know you're not doing it.
I'm like, I literally just started talking and all of a sudden I was like, okay, thanks. I know what you mean.
All right. So yeah, we need to jump into things.
Oh yes.
Let's move into our first segment, shall we?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So our first segment that we're gonna cover today, I decided to title Gia Gun Gaggery.
Shit.
Because there is no way we are not gonna talk about what I think was half the episode.
Basically.
Like
Essentially.
I was like, thank goodness there was only really one thing they needed to do. Yeah, well, technically two. You know, you got a runway look, but like you got one thing. There was no, mini challenge, or if there was, they completely skipped it. We don't know nothing about it.
Mm-hmm.
Cause, yeah.
Girl.
All right, so Damon, as we normally do our setup, you go ahead and start.
Okay. So I titled this "Save the Drama for After Mama Roo,"
Okay.
and this is to me a very important thing. So, if you haven't seen the episode, what the fuck's going on? Why are you listening to us right now? Okay. Really,
yeah.
but
By the way, I got a new thing. You don't even know about it yet. So later in the show, this may come up because we might get into something. But you're kind of doing it now.
Okay. Yeah.
Spoiler alert, girls. So if you haven't been paying
Yeah.
attention and you haven't watched the show at all, don't watch us because we're about to talk about everything. And obviously, the Gia God drama is a big thing. In case you didn't know that yet.
So yeah. Spoiler alert. Good idea. Because as we know, we are recording a little bit earlier than we used to. So maybe not everyone has got an opportunity to see the show.
Yeah, it's not even been 48 hours, right, since the show aired.
So, spoiler in effect. So if you're watching, I'm sorry. Not sorry. So, as we are aware in the episode is presented, Gia and Farrah had a falling out in their friendship, quote unquote, like they had a friendship, in regards to something that happened, some drama where Farrah showed up at Gia's work, which I'm assuming is like at a bar, and she was drunk after trying to get a friendship that Gia had with someone else reconciled, and it caused some drama bullshit that she decided at this point on the show to be like, I want to address it. Da, 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 da. So first of all, this now makes sense why Gia was so gunning for Farrah in like the first episode and this episode. There seemed to be a lot of like, because I didn't, I know that the queens sometimes meet each other and know each other season by season, et cetera, et cetera. We know that right. Queens across seasons get to know each other, but not saying I wouldn't have expected Gia and Farrah to become friends in some way, but it just caught me a little by surprise that as we're getting on this season, Gia's very just like nasty and shady towards Farrah, and I was like, what the fuck's going on? And now we know. So there's this whole big old beef. Blah, blah, blah. So Gia takes this moment, several moments, mind you, to air gas, for lack of a better term. She decides to make a point to talk about, I want to just, let's be friends, let's squash it or whatever. Let's talk about, what happened. And my personal opinion, and I know, it's a TV show and it's reality TV and all that shit. But reality is sometimes we have to deal with moments where, where there's drama gets brought up. And I don't think this was the time. That's why I'm saying save it for after Mama Roo, meaning let's not necessarily put some of this shit on the show. This to me sounded like a, for lack of a better word, petty thing that happened and did not need to be brought up at this point in time.
Right.
At all. Like, it was very weird to me that it was, one, brought up, two, she kept bringing it up, and three, she used it essentially as like, to me, she used it as a diversionary tactic. A kind of, to me, knocking someone off their horse a little bit, or knocking someone off their mind game and everything. Because I know Farrah wasn't having it, but we all know Farrah.
Right.
just based on what we've seen. We know she's an emotional person. We know that it probably had more to do with it had affected her more than she was letting on.
Right.
So,
No, I agree that I don't know if I think she was being manipulative.
mm,
I think Farrah called it out. I think when Farrah said to her, some of us don't need to create like a thread or a narrative to get more like FaceTime.
mm-hmm.
I was like, damn, damn.
Yes.
Like she
Yes.
just totally like
Get her.
immediately like, blew away the fourth wall and was like, "Oh bitch, all right, you want to play this game? Like you want to keep coming for me? I have no problem calling your ass out because there are a lot of cameras around us." I mean, maybe Farrah felt that that was an appropriate time to do that because I think the cameramen started moving. Like they started
Mm-hmm.
paying attention to the fact that Gia Gunn was,
Over there
right,
at
was
her
over
booth.
there, and Farrah and her were kind of getting escalated, and some of the other queens. Like actually, it seems like all the rest of the queens were on Farrah's side, not on Gia Gunn's.
Amen to that shit. Let me talk low. So,
Go ahead.
so I was loving the moment when Monique kind of like said, like, especially in confessional, and then in the workroom, she was kind of like saying, like, oh, she's coming for my teammate, she's coming for my, whatever, and I'm not having that. And she started jabbing at her, and she started calling Gia a bully. And I get why she was going that route, because at that point in time, and you know, Farrah had pretty much said on more than one occasion, like, I want you to get away from me right now. I need you to go. I need you to go to your station and do what you need to do. Woo ha!
It's all right. I'm fixing the video real quick. Go ahead.
It's okay. Um, and I was like, yeah, do that, because to me that was the thing that was bothering when I say I don't want to talk to you, I don't want to talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
And if we are right, and this is not like online, whatever kind of thing, this is literally face to face. You are right here. If you do not go away from me, that's, to me, you aren't paying attention to what I'm saying. You want to get what you want to say out, and that's all that matters to you. You don't care about what's going to happen in this moment. If I forgave you, it wouldn't have mattered to you. You just wanted to do what you wanted to do, and that's all you wanted to do. Gia.
So in our live chat, hey Ginger T-Time, welcome back. Haven't seen you in the chat for a little bit. So Ginger T-Time says Farrah got her together and then asked the question, how much of a role do you think production played in this argument? I think production didn't necessarily manipulate the narrative. Like, I think it was a bit natural, but I think they had no problem in the edit focusing on Gia and really painting her now as kind of our villain for the season. I think she's definitely now gotten herself into this place where she's stuck that way. I think you're muted.
Yeah, and her whole, like in the like, well, we may spoil. I'm not going to spoil just yet. I'll get to that in a minute. I'll get to it in a minute. Okay. Don't worry, America. I will get to it in a minute. Gary, how about you?
For me, for the Gia Gunn gaggery, I was like, dishing up drama. I really felt that like this was just, it was kind of impractical. It's very weird to me that Gia's perspective was, I got to do this and I got to do this now because I don't know if I'll have an opportunity face to face again to actually talk to Farrah, because the way she was coming across was like, this is the only time we're ever in the same place at the same time. Because in Gia, what she said was, I texted her you months ago and she never, like, to Farrah, you never replied. But here's the thing. If you know the reality, Farrah lives in LA.
Mm-hmm.
Gia Gunn lives in LA. Now, I realize
Mm-hmm.
LA is a big city and it has a really decent, big sized drag community. But if you mean to tell me that Pheromone and Gia Gunn are never, ever, for eternity, going to run into each other in the same location at the same time, I find that impractical. There are 2 events a year that they'll probably see each other. Do you know what they're called? RuPaul's Drag Con, bitch. It's either LA or New York City. You're probably going to be in the
Damn.
same place. So come on. Like, she was being very tunnel visioned, I think.
Yeah. No, she wasn't being. I know you said she wasn't being manipulative. I think she was being manipulative. I think for a fact she was being manipulative. She was using this moment, as Farrah calls her out on,
Okay.
and says, "You're using this moment to create something that doesn't need to be there." She did not need to, as you said, at this moment in time, talk to Gia or talk to Farrah about this incident and try to resolve, as it were, because to me, as I said, they're going to probably see each other after the show, after taping, after whatever. There's a more than likely going to be a possibility. And either way, like, this ain't the time or the place. This ain't the moment. Like, Gia chose moments to talk about this when it was, I guess, to me, beneficial to her. She chose when Farrah was getting her makeup ready in the workroom.
Well, they put in the edit. So production, I think, in terms of the edit, helped with this narrative that Gia had a purpose in talking to Farrah. Like, I agree with Farrah from the perspective of, if you wanted to talk to me, you could just come talk to me. But the way you started this conversation is not you talking to me as a friend. And that's one of the things I think that was part of the issue about this episode, was that we got to see more than just the kind of, back and forth in front of the mirror, because they purposefully put in Farrah going over and talking to other members of the team to find out if they thought she was the weakest link.
That too.
And I get that Gia's perspective is, I want to know the reality. But girl, the way you approach a friend is you don't come over kind of in an accusatory tone and be a bitch about it. Like, if you were a friend, you would walk over and say, "Hey, can I talk to you?" Like, you have a more subtle and a more kind of like a conciliatory tone. You're quieter. You kind of want to listen, like want them to listen to you. You really want to bond and have a moment.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was not
so
the case.
I agree when Gia gets called out, and is it Naomi, I think, that calls her out and says, if this was an issue, why didn't you discuss this on day one?
Yep. It was either Gia not Gia. It was either Naomi or Monet, or I think it may have been Monique.
Yeah.
I'll have to look at the episode again. It was one of those 3.
Right, because they were over kind of in the same area next to Farrah, and they were just like, no, girl. Like,
and that's where I work, like, my thing about it being manipulative.
I can see that. So for me, I thought that she was dishing up drama. Like, she intentionally was goading her, like, we'll save that for later. I think I know what I was about to say, like you was about to say, and we'll get to that because that's towards the end of the show, the actual episode, without spoiling it. But so yeah, there was Gina Gunn gaggery in this episode for that going on. Are you ready to get on to our next section?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
This week, we challenged our all-stars to funk it up in a girl group collaboration with the Stacey Lane Matthews. And now, they're ready to let us have it. Henny.
Yes. So for those of you that are unaware, this week we got to bring back a very beloved Rue girl from years ago. I'm blanking on what season she was on.
3 or 4.
3 sounds right to me.
3. She was 3 because she was on the same season as Shangela's second time. 3.
So yeah. Although Ginger T-Time says 4, we might be wrong. Who knows?
I'm about to find out.
Oh, now she says 3. Is this a countdown, girl? 4, 3. 2, 1. So yes, we have the one and only Miss Stacey Lane Matthews, Henny. I have to admit that this was a bit of a gag that they brought a Rue girl in as the artist in residence for the week. I thought that was a beautiful statement the way Rue made it. It makes me wonder if there will be more artists in residence to come for All Stars. I'd actually like to see an artist in residence as a previous Rue girl every episode of every season. Thank you very much. But that's just me. So yeah, I appreciated that Stacey Lane Matthews got to come back, and the whole premise is that we're going to create 2 Supergirl groups, and that the team leaders are the winners that were in the Lip Sync for Your Life from the previous episode, which I was like, oh, nice. That's a nice little knife twist. Oh, girl, you want to win? Oh, you want to be top 2? Oh, you want to win $10,000? Well, guess what? You in charge next week. Like that's what happens. So we ended up with 2 groups singing 2 songs. Miss Stacey Lane Matthews had to be incorporated into both of the groups, which I thought was interesting. There was one song, which is Everybody Say Love, which is a RuPaul saying, obviously, which was made up of Monique, Monet, Naomi, and Farrah. And then we had Don't Funk It Up, which was Trinity, Valentina, Latrice, Manila, and Gia. Gia was last to be picked. Yeah, there was a little like shady shit with, Gia to the camera about how she would have been picked first instead of last. And I thought, girl, I don't think you understand where you stand amongst this group.
Yes. And 2, like, no one wants to be picked last. Like, I'm not trying to like play this like overstate the game, but like nobody wants to be picked last, but someone's going to be picked last. Right. Like there's not a like I'm just going to take all of these people and that's it. Like, no, it's always one at a time. So,
well, and I think that goes much faster than we see it on camera.
Oh yeah.
Like I think the picking of the teams is over in literally like a minute and a half. Like it just does not take very long for them to like boop, 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 and pick teams. And then, you move on with your life basically. So I think they made it more to be than what it necessarily needed to be. Cause they do those confessional cutaways and then they come back and I'm like, whatever. I don't think that's necessary. So, I'm not surprised to see team challenges. Team challenges have been around, since the beginning of time, and it's a way for us to see how people can lead. And I think that's going to kind of get into our thoughts on this particular segment. So, Mr. Damon, what were your thoughts on the girl groups challenge?
So, I titled this "Music is Hard?" ? And the main reason I did that is because this was a very interesting mixed bag of like singing and performance, and it was odd to me the choices some of the queens did or picked. For example, we know Monet is a opera singer. She's trained, et cetera, et cetera. Right. We know that, but she didn't do opera. She did rap. Okay, I mean it made sense in the course of the song, but what have you?
Right.
And then with Manila, as an example, I was very confused about her singing in general, because we know she's done, recordings before. We know she's done it before. So we know she's put out stuff before. So it's very odd to me, some of the choices. And then just in general, I'm a personal fan of like, did we not know the song? Like, obviously they pretty much got the beat, it sounds like, and the like chorus, because that was all kind of like sung before, and there are a couple of things there, and I'm just like, did we not think about what the song meant? Choice, my biggest problem is the choices that we did with Don't Funk It Up.
Okay.
Like they made it, instead of a like funky you know, contemporary kind of piece. They were trying to make it somewhat empowering,
Right.
as it were. And it didn't come across that way at all. It just came this very muddled mess. And it did. I don't think it helped. It didn't help that the choreography and whatever just all didn't really work. It just was, to me, it was all kind of a mess.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
Ginger T-Time says, it was confused. I was confused. Perhaps the whole world was confused.
I agree. I think there was a very confusing mess going on there.
Yeah, I basically said teamwork versus individuality. I think there was one team that worked well together, and I think there was a team that like really kind of was individual. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and it was very confusing, like both styles. What I really liked that happened was that Stacey Matthews, no face, like no makeup girl, well, very little, like confessional to camera after each group, talked about the leadership qualities and how working on those teams was. And I was like, yes, but I don't know if those teams got that feedback. Like, I know they went to camera and most likely Rue got told or watched that. Do you know what I mean? To know what Stacey thought of her like involvement. But yeah, I mean, like, you know, so for this particular group, Everybody Say Love, Monique, Monet, Naomi Farah, there was a lot of irritation, I want to say, or annoyance that Farah couldn't keep up and that she was confused and they kept modifying the choreography. But even Stacey Lane Matthews says, girl, you got to give the brain a rest.
Yeah.
Like you got to let it catch up. And it made sense to me why Farah was confused. And she's like, oh, what about the kick? And they're like, we took that out. You're gone. It takes too much. Like, so the way the filming kind of comes across to us is that, you know, they were making changes on the fly, but it was confusing. So you end up with like 2 or 3 out of the 5 that can really keep up with the quick change and know what to do and how to execute. And the others didn't, including Stacey, which isn't necessarily fair, but yeah, I was like, yeah, there wasn't a whole lot of, I think, cohesiveness yet. In comparison, there was like this weird, like, okay, so of the two, this particular grouping, the Don't Funk It Up felt more like a girl group. Like, this is going to be awful because I didn't really follow them, but the first thing I think of is like the Spice Girls. And that's only because they all had individual personalities and nicknames. So like everyone was identified as a particular whatever. So yeah, like, I mean, they're all very much like caricatures. Well, 3 out of the 5-ish, so to speak. You know, like, I'm just going to say it. I was not a fan of Latrice's outfit. Like, I think it could have been done a little better. I think the L on her chest needed to come a little more thinner. It kind of bugged me that it looked like it was falling off to the side. I loved the way Trinity looked, and I thought that she and Gia and Manila sort of looked cohesive. Like they had this iridescent kind of like these geometric shape things going on, but then the Selena sort of homage parody that Valentina did doesn't match at all, and then Latrice is like sort of in the color palette but not like looking the same. So it just like, it was like, okay, like they just kind of looked like they were thrown together sort of incohesively. And what's weird though is that they kind of worked better as a team. Yeah. Like, so that's the part, that's what's so damnifying about this episode to me, is like one group seemed to work better as a team even though they had issues, and the other team like was more individual and had anyways.
Yeah. Agreed. One of the things I will say, like one of the things, so if you compare it kind of like to the Spice Girls, okay, and that's a perfect example to me of a group of individuals coming together as a group.
Right.
Like if you look at the Spice Girls, if you looked at them back in the day, you know, they weren't their looks weren't always necessarily cohesive, because the way that they branded themselves were everyone was kind of an individual spice, you know, Posh Spice, Baby Spice, Sporty Spice, Scary Spice,
Right.
Ginger Spice. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I got them all. You know, you had all of those like individual things, and they, instead of coming together as a girl group, like say an In Vogue or a Supremes or something where everyone's kind of wearing a similar outfit, they decided to be individuals,
Right.
but still be a part of the group, and it worked. In this case, as you're looking at this, you know, group here, it would have been awesome if everyone had done something individually. Because once you put like 2 or 3 that kind of have a similar pattern together,
Right.
the ones that stand out are the ones that don't follow that. Valentina stands out because she did not follow this like dynamic. And I personally would have liked it. You know, I wonder if they knew what Stacy was going to be wearing.
I don't think they did.
I don't know. I don't know if they did or not, because if they did, in this, we're looking at this, you know, picture here right now, it would have been awesome if they had done jewel tones to go with the gold that Stacy is wearing. Valentina kind of works.
Right, because she's wearing like red, so
red,
that could be ruby, and then you
like
could have
a
like
sapphire, like
right.
and Trinity kind of works because it's looking kind of blue purple to me, which is an amethyst kind of thing. You know, just if they had done that route or gone that route, even though the look like physically may not have been the same, it would have been good to kind of put it all together. But that's just me like
right
over analyzing girl groups.
No, I understand.
Yeah, and it just for me, like the music part of it just wasn't. It just never really. This wasn't going to sell some tickets. I'll put it like that. These songs were not like, oh, let me go download that onto iTunes. Available now on iTunes. I'll pass.
Ginger Tea-Time has the best idea. Now I want a Steven Universe challenge.
Yeah.
We've had Hello Kitty, so pop culture has been done before. Steven Universe would be amazing if they each had to pick a gem.
Mm-hmm.
And what would be the gag is if one of the queens decided to be the fusion of, and I'm going to forget the names, Steven and
Connie.
Yes.
Stefani, yeah.
Yeah, Estefani. That would be unfucking believable. But anyways.
Mm-hmm.
So between the two girl groups, it's like, you know, one had a sort of like, okay, so like these 4 in this particular group don't have a cohesiveness necessarily, other than they're all wearing sparkles.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone's kind of doing their own individual thing. Farrah looks the most out of sort, like visually to me. Probably because her nude illusion isn't really that great as a nude illusion. The fabric isn't matching her skin tone. She's too spray tanned for that to match, which is a problem for me.
Yes.
So yeah. There's
and
go ahead.
There's the whole Aaliyah look there too.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. I actually spent some time doing some research to try to figure out what the fuck she was going on about, because it appears she actually talked back to judges later about the issue that she had when performing. So, all right, for those of you that are actually watching us on YouTube, like in our visual panel over here on the side, we've got bookended 2 of Aaliyah's looks. One actual Aaliyah. The one on the left, which is black and white, you know, kind of monochromatic, is Aaliyah in the Don't Try video, where she's wearing pants and the studded bra, basically, that I think is exactly where she was trying to get the look from.
Monique.
But now we got a problem, Miss Monique, because this video does not have said red jacket, and the red jacket is the problem that she gets critiqued on. Or no, the red jacket is the excuse she uses that she can't, like, she kind of got thrown off when she was performing and she had a problem. She sort of stuttered with her movements. So the red jacket in this image on the right is actually from Aaliyah performing live in concert, I believe, maybe in Germany, if I recall the crediting correctly. The jacket on the right, as David and I discussed pre-show before we went live, looks like a rain slicker.
Mm-hmm.
It is white cloth lined. It is not this big ass puffy like ski jacket.
Ski jacket, no.
And notably, her pants in the video on the left, the actual video look more skin tight than the pants on the right. They're obviously not the same pants. The one on the right are looking like latex kind of. But they're still, even though they're bigger, they're still a little more form-fitting. So
exactly,
I have to agree when Valentina read her in confessional for her look, how that was sort of a disgrace to Aaliyah.
Yeah, the look while it captured some of, like when I saw it, I got it. I got that she was what she was trying to go with. She was kind of combining a lot of Aaliyah in one outfit. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, she used a majority of one specific outfit and then kind of captured some things for the other. So when history lesson, ladies and gentlemen, when Aaliyah first came out, Aaliyah was very much like the hip hop girl singing soulful, music, which was kind of like, oh, wow. So she had like the baggy pants and the big, oversized like jerseys and stuff like that. So she was very much in that kind of zone. She always had like the little sunglasses and everything else. If you remember those 90s kind of fashions, she was very much that for a while. And then as she got older, she got a little sexier. And then we go into like Try Again, which is the video, picture from the video on the left is from. And, so things got tighter, things got, closer to the body, for form fitting, what have you. Mm-hmm. And it worked really well. And Aaliyah was very much to me, kind of like a Selena in regards to like, bringing some very fashionable things out there in regards to her looks. And yeah, so with Monique's kind of homage to Aaliyah, I get it. But if you're really going to do it, you really have to do it. And the bra and the pant, like the belt on the pant, was not enough. The pants were not right. The jacket was not right. Yeah. The shoe was not right. The hair was okay. But again, it's just one of these things where I needed, if you're going to do it, you need to do it right. A la, oh gosh, her name just left my head.
It's okay.
Tatiana and her TLC look from All Stars 2.
Okay.
Where she did the kind of T-Boz, where she had the hair, she had the pants look and the very loose thing. Perfect. Great example of like taking homage to that kind of look in that time and doing it really well.
I feel bad for Monique in this case because I think she was trying really hard to evoke a person/personality and a look. And the issue with that is, girl, but now you get read for it that you didn't try hard enough or you weren't authentic enough. Because what I find interesting is that Michelle Visage says, in Judges Panel, how she was evoking TLC. And then what surprises me, Monique talking back and like, explaining that she was going for Aaliyah. So Michelle adjusts her feedback and says like 90s girl groups, like, like 90s female artists, like, because while Michelle got called incorrectly for the aesthetic, like it's a judge. Like that's one of the things that's really weird to me. And then I'm totally going to draw a blank. Did you write down the name of the two judges? I know Casey Musgrave is one of the judges, and then
Casey Musgrave and Sierra.
That's it.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I pronounce her name right. So Sierra, though, gives a beautiful feedback to Monique and says, but no matter what, you're a professional and you always rise above. Like you never have an excuse when you're performing, which I was like, all right, girl, like that is the comment that needs to be said.
That was what that was.
Yes.
Right there.
Both of us agree. We both double shade fanned that bitch because I was like, I'm sorry. She's right. She's absolutely accurate to say you can have an excuse all you want. The excuse doesn't matter. It's still like you still kind of goofed it. It's like, last week when this isn't really a spoiler alert because it's a week after. Sorry, kids. When Farrah fell. If you watch the What You're Packing video online, when Farrah talks to Michelle Visage, I found out what happened that was the unexpected element. Farrah had rehearsed before, and in her previous rehearsal, when she took the jacket off the dressing gown, she throws it to the front. However, when they performed, the fan caught the gown and blew it back towards her onto the stage. She said it was like, it was almost like a butterfly. She said it just kind of like flew sort of back towards her, which was not the intent. So here's the downside. What Farrah didn't compensate for was to adjust her routine to handle the fact that she now had this slinky, fabric thing where she normally would stand and perform. Like what she didn't do was take her foot and the tip of her shoe and kind of like kick it, you know what I mean? Like sexily off to the side, or bend down, do a bend and snap kind of move, legally bond. You know what I mean? And just like pick it up off the floor.
She could have done so many things with that jacket. Right. I know if she necessarily wanted it back, that's fine. She could have, I'm not going to be, to kind of be shady, she could have thrown it at the other queens.
Well, there's that. She could have thrown it on top of Gia Gunn, but that was a week ago before we knew what was going to happen. So,
shall we? Are you? Did we get to you? Yeah. No, we didn't.
So.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Yeah.
Teamwork versus individuality was my thought on the girl groups. Are you ready to continue and move on?
Yes.
All right.
Cover girl, put the bass in your walk. Cover girl.
All right, so let's talk about the runway. The runway theme, which sort of cracks me up and annoys me at the same time, is elegance after dark. So apparently gay culture is yet again going to decide to bastardize an actual word, which is elegance. And for some reason, now we're going to call it elegance, which I guess is supposed to be like kind of a spoof on the fact that it's like high fashion-y, sequiny, elegant, something or other.
Elegant, elegance, sequins, whatever. Anyway.
So, Damon, what were your thoughts on the runway?
So, overall, just to kind of generalize it, better looks than, so I blanked on the season as I was typing this, but like, if you remember, it was either a season or two ago where they're like, give us your best drag look, and we got a whole bunch of like leotards and cat suits and whatever, and I was like, what the fuck is up with that? Yeah. this is a definite like yay kind of factor for me, because everyone kind of stepped it up and put out these very, very nice looks. Now, was everything great? No. But everything was pretty good. I say better looks because I think these were much better. There were some hits and some misses. Excuse me. For me, my favorites were Monique's kind of red off the shoulder knot in the corner, very slinky kind of look. Not Monique's, Monet's. Sorry, I said that wrong. Yeah, that. I very much like this kind of look on her. She looked very just like made up and stunning and beautiful. And I'm glad that she has kind of stepped her runway game up a bit. Is this perfect? No, it's not perfect, but it's good. I like it a lot. My other favorite was, my favorite was Manila's.
Can I say something before you go on to Manila's?
Sure, go for it. Go for it.
So I loved this look overall. For Monet, but I got a bone to pick. That necklace.
I
want you to pay attention to this huge ass, like rhinestone choker and 3 teardrop pieces and how offset they are.
Okay. Yep.
It's skewed to the side because the fabric comes up and she's got this fabric nut on her shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
When she walked down the runway, I caught it. I was like, what does it matter with her necklace? And then I was like, are you fucking kidding me? She turned it 45 degrees to compensate for the fact that the fabric fell across. I was like, really? Really?
Again, like we said, Monet is working on her runways. She's doing the best she can. I mean, I'm not saying she's the best she can. She's doing good. I agree. Like it's off. And if she had,
I figured out how to fix the necklace, honestly. If you had a pair of needle nose pliers, just pop them 3 teardrops off.
Yeah.
That's
agreed.
All you had to do, or better yet, wear something that was not like long plunging, but like just a single strand rhinestone around with the big teardrop earrings. It would have been fine. Because the gown is a statement in and of itself enough with the hair. Like there's a little bit of video that she actually posted online where she did her fitting and she's bald. Honestly, she looked fucking amazing. Like, without hair. And there's a part of me that wonders why she didn't try that. But
it looked really good. And I will say, like, I like this look overall. Like I said, it was one of my favorites. I agree with you about the necklace. I think it should have either just been the choker, which would have been, to me, better than moving it over to the side. And that's this is going to call me out and some other queens out. This is a cheap, really quick way to like excuse something, which was like, oh shit, I can't wear these 3 tiers. Well, here you go. Let me just move it over here and just leave it be and just be like, they won't care. No, they care. We care a lot.
Judges may not have said something, but I noticed, and it really bugged the fuck out of me because I think it was almost a disservice to
the look,
to the rest of what she was wearing. It was so good.
And I love like the little gloves and everything else. Everything else worked perfectly except for the necklace. So that one, Manila was my second favorite.
Okay,
or not, because just I've not seen her look that glamorous before, and everything just works so fucking well. That dress is so beautiful on her. It fits so wonderfully. I love all the like, the tulle at the front of the at the bodice or the breast area, and then I love the like all the like. It's obviously a nude illusion that works, and has like the jewels in the underarm. I mean, everything was just so beautiful, and the makeup was on point. Everything was amazing. This is why I love her being on the show, being back in All Stars. This was to me like, woo, there you go.
I have to agree that of all the runway looks, Manila's was my favorite. So I will totally give her the recognition that this outfit, this look was the most astounding. I only have one pet peeve about the outfit, and it's the back. I don't have a photo of it, but it's the zipper. And it's because I think it's a white zipper, or kind of like a silver white zipper. And part of the issue is that on the back of the gown, from about mid back all the way to the top, it's supposed to be your, skin tone fabric. And the problem is the zipper doesn't match. It more matches the metallic like below. So like I thought about like I was going to mention it and then I wasn't going to mention it. And then I thought, no, there is a solve to this. The problem is it's an expensive solve, which is that you get a zipper, you get 2 zippers that actually match the 2 fabrics. And then you very, very difficultly craft and cut them to stitch together to work seamlessly as one zipper. Because
that's hard.
It is hard, but Manila got coin and she married. So she might have been able to like have her designer figure that out. I mean, it just bugs me to no end when a queen looks so perfect. And then there's just that one thing that stands out. And I'm like, oh, it's just so disappointing to me that like, because my problem is you have to see the back of the outfit. Like if Manila had never turned around, Do you know what I mean? To walk back down the runway. I wouldn't have seen the back of it. I wouldn't have known. But the judges probably would have called her out for walking backwards and asked her to turn around in front of them, you know, for the panel to see the whole gown. That's my beef about this. But I completely agree. She looked amazing.
Yeah, and I will say this because I'm going to read it because I love it. So one of our local queens here in town, I won't say who, but she was on the show. So you probably know who it is by now. Says the gown. She's, you know, they all have zippers, and she said hiding a zipper is no special feat, nor is leaving one exposed a fashion faux pas. If they're going to be exposed, they should probably fit the look, but otherwise you should expect that the garment didn't just magically appear on the body. And then also, judges, if this is what you noticed, it probably wasn't a zipper. You just need an excuse for your dislike of the gown and found one. Also, I may start leaving all of mine exposed and do them in contrasting colors to be sure you notice them. Kind of as a...
All right.
But I'm just reading this because I like the idea.
I like the idea of the contrasting color thing.
Yeah.
Like to make it pop out, but that's the issue for me in this case was that it yeah.
So it's one of the things where I know that there needs to be a zipper, and I agree with that there sometimes needs to be. They're going to have to be a zipper somewhere, somehow, someplace, and hiding them is, depending on the size of the garment and what you're doing, is hard.
Well,
so, yeah.
I just realized what sort of the solution is that if you build it and you have an extra strip of fabric, so it flaps and folds over and like sort of Velcros or whatever, just like a teeny line to hide the zipper. And because this gown has she has the bedazzling of the armpits, girl, all you had to do was cover up the back with that. Like you could have made this spray of jewels or whatever that went straight down the middle, and you probably would have been none the wiser to notice very easily that there was a zipper. That's just me. Granted, that's probably like an extra couple hundred to the gown, but still.
Yeah. Yeah, these are just some really, really great looks. Overall, like I said, better than before. This is to me like this was very much an all-stars runway. Even from the simpleness of like say Farrah's, where it's a very slinky like small like kind of gown, and she has this ostrich feather boa and all that stuff, and the hair is up. While it's not like, if you compare hers to like Manila's, no, it's not as like big and voluminous and glamorous, but it fits Farrah. Right. It's backless. It's very kind of like old Hollywood, kind of to me like a very much like a disco Las Vegas kind of look. It works to me very well, I think.
I think it was perfectly on brand for her. There's only one suggestion I would have for Farrah, not that she's going to see this video or hear our podcast, but what I would say to her is I would have flipped the hair. I would have flipped the wig and the feather boa in color. I would have lost the candy, like cotton candy floss, pink bubblegum hair. I would have made the boa pink or black, and I would have made the hair white, because the gown is a silver to gold ombre. It doesn't show very well in this photo, but if you go back and watch the episode, the very tip of the bottom of the dress is gold, and it slowly changes as it goes up the dress. So the top neck start is all silver, and then it slowly changes to gold at the feet. And which I thought was a really beautiful effect when I caught that. And I was like, oh, if your hair had been like white, like that would have helped with, sort of with the color flow a little bit more. And I get it, like Farrah, is bubblegum pink and blah 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 and all that. But I was just like, that would have been a little twist to put on it, as if she'd done white hair and like a pink boa or a black boa or something, a little bit more to the classic of that.
And just so I want to comment really quickly, because gender is in our she said the eloquence part of it. She said, I thought it was a throwback to Kennedy. Didn't she say eloquence rather than elegant, and got red for it? And I'm trying to think, maybe she did.
Oh, I'm not surprised. I mean, Rue infamously doesn't claim to all of her quips and her sayings to be original. She recognizes that they come from other people. Like Alaska's "hi" came from two queens from England who apparently took it from another queen from someplace else, and like, and Willem and Alaska, by the way, have a podcast called Race Chaser that I've been listening to. It's really fun because they've basically gone through seasons 1 and season 2. Like, they literally watch it and they comment on what they see. And then they have these cute little segments that they brought in where they bring in a previous Rue Girl from that season to talk about what it was like to record that season. And now they're interrupting their whole thread because they barely are finishing season 2. And now they're starting to talk about All-Star season 4 while it's hot. Which is kind of comical. But they, you know, even Alaska has recognized like that catchphrases are things that get repeated a lot, that are shown on camera a lot, and they are not necessarily yours, and you never know what's going to happen. Even Monet talking about, you know, sponges and branding, I thought recently in a video that she made, was basically like she's kind of pushing back on the whole like, oh, sponges as my branding is a problem, but other people can have branding for brown cow stunning. That's okay. Like, and she's not picking a fight with the other queens. What she's trying to point out is like the oddity of how we operate as a society, that we're like, this is okay, but this is not. She's like, no, it's not any different. Like, this is a quirky thing that happened that I'm getting recognized for. I'm running with it. Like, so, which I find kind of funny, because it's kind of like, don't be hating the player, hate the game. Like,
yeah.
So anyways, that being said, for me on the runway, I basically said grand versus grunt. So I'll put it this way. So we already talked about Manila. I want to recognize Miss Naomi. While I was not a fan, I have to recognize that this is fashion and that this is beautiful. There isn't really anything wrong with it. There is one thing technically about it that was an issue in the show, but is not an issue with the gown necessarily. Those big reflective circles, when she walked down the runway, at one moment, they're sort of curling, and one of them reflects her opposite inner thigh. And she's wearing tights. But what's weird is that's this big circle. So you have this big cylindrical tan kind of looking thing hanging between her legs for like about a half a second. And I was like, what the? I was like, oh, that's the dress. Like, that's the circle thing. And it's reflecting the, wow. Like, that's an unintended consequence, which is very funny, because if you go back to the girl group thing, and one of her lyrics is that she's hung like a baseball bat. And I was like, I can't. Like, that just threw me off.
Stop it.
So bad.
It. I didn't even pay attention to that. I didn't see that. And now I want to look at the episode again and just pause on that moment.
It just happened so quick, but I was like, what the? And I was like, oh my God. Like, ooh. Obviously I had something on my mind. So I think that Naomi and Manila were like the pinnacle of fashion, like that they were really delivering something to the runway. Farrah was okay, but I thought Farrah was basic. Like, I think it was like baby all-stars, which is not really to be referencing to her age. I recognize some people might say that. But that's not really the case. Monique.
Yes, bitch.
I'm sorry. I can't. This is what I call grunt.
Yeah.
You probably paid a lot of coin for this girl, and I am very disappointed in you. Because I thought when you first walked out, I was like, wow, this is something. This is making a statement.
Yeah.
This is very grand. I was not a fan of the overdone, like, lip things that were coming off her chest, like the curved kind of points. Like, I was not a fan of that, and I detest these gloves. I don't like this big fin thing, and I don't like the exaggerated finger thing. Like, it makes me think of Lady Gaga and like Monsters or whatever. Like, it's just, it was so weird. And maybe like in a couple of years I'll come back around, but not right now. I'm not having it. She gets to the end of the runway. The dress looks a little cumbersome. I'm not sure. And then all of a sudden, boom, it's a tearaway. And then we end up with this landlocked stripper mermaid thing.
Landlocked stripper mermaid.
Well, because she's still got this flared dress bottom. I don't understand. Like, I was just
this to me was one of the, while if he, I didn't really pay attention to the gloves. I will own that. But if he had kept whatever it was on and removed the whole like the reveal, if he hadn't done the reveal, I would have loved it a lot more. But once he did the reveal, I was kind of like, ugh. Like it doesn't add to the dress to me, which I mean makes sense because he's taking something away. But it doesn't add anything. It doesn't make it fun. This is not a like detox turnaround and we see the hoo ha, all that stuff. This is not that beautiful.
Right.
Because to me, like detox doing that, like, oh my God, like there's this like just slinky black dress on, and then when she turned around and you saw the, like the cutout or the
you're right, the cutout.
Not really fit. Yeah, the cutout part of it. You're like, oh my God, like it was amazing because it was so fucking amazing. This to me is a gimmick. This is gimmicky. And
Yeah.
I know she's known for like reveals of that kind, but like it not in this kind of after what everyone else has done.
Right.
This was kind of like bleh for me.
Yeah, I mean,
we can talk about the panty line.
well, there was a bunch of, so this is why I call it grunt, because to me grunt means like there's high end grand and then there's grunt. It's not that it's atrocious, it's just not on the same level. In that case, so Miss Gia, it to me is sort of in the middle. I just want to give the recognition that she, you know, as they talk about, was very pageant, and yes, like I totally disagree with Gia Gunn's description that she's serving cherry pie. I was like, bitch, there's not a cherry pie in the world that I've ever eaten that is pink. No, ma'am, no way, no how.
Cherries are red, dear.
And as a child who grew up in the 80s and loved Cherry Pie, the Warrant song, cherries are red. Like, there's just, no. You are Pepto-Bismol pink girl. You are pretty in pink. You are quinceañera pink. You are many things, but you are not
cherry pie pink. No, this is not quinceañera pink. Come on with that shade.
Just saying.
Come on.
When I think of things like even Trixie Mattel would have not worn this dress. And Trixie Mattel is the queen of Barbie pink. Like, that's just...
This is just...
It was high fashion. It was high fashion, traditional pageant look. Like, I thought it was interesting in the... not the what you packin', in the pit stop when Trixie kind of talks about this, and I think she's with Sonique. It's really great to watch, by the way. They make a reference to the fact that, you know, it's very expected, you know, big earrings, waved hair, mostly on one side parted, big billowy gown, but, you know, like with rhinestones.
So, come on, Ginger, with your Pepto pie. Yes. That is perfect. Yes, thank you. That is perfect. Oh my God, yes.
Yes.
It's very just let me I would have liked this if it was just the lighter pink where the dark pink is, and the lighter pink where the lighter pink is was like a white or a silver or like something to kind of give it. I'm fine with like a pink gown, but these two pinks, again, like we've talked about, kind of remind me of Pepto-Bismol. It doesn't remind me of cherry. It doesn't remind me of pie. It reminds me of Pepto-Bismol, and it sucks. It's just not good.
Well, I just realized how I'm fine with the two tones. That doesn't bother me. What I really am not liking is from like is actually it's not just above the knee or at the knee. It's above the knee by a couple of inches. That flare thing. If we had done away with that and we had actually done tapered evening gowns straight to the floor, she might not have been able to walk in big strides.
Yeah.
And then if we had done a train, take that sparkly, you know, rhinestone fabric, do it in like a satin or something, and make it this exaggerated, like 6 to 8 foot train that when she walked out the whole way, do you know what I mean? That just trailed around behind her. I think they would have elevated it. This just looks like you bought it off the rack. Like at Pageants R Us and I don't even know if such a thing exists, but that's the feeling I get. So
it is very pageant, and it just, and honestly, if she had done like an updo, I would have been done.
Yeah.
But that's very much like a pageant, like the pageant updo with the bun kind of thing, the beer earrings. She should have had a necklace.
Yeah.
The cut the sweetheart neckline, and then the gown that mermaids are billows out at the top, taper to the waist.
Yeah.
Or not taper to the waist, taper to the body. Yeah, that's definitely pageant, and it would have just.
Yeah. So I also want to talk about two others real quick. Miss Trinity. So honestly, I really liked this overall. I didn't have a problem with it. These are not great screenshots that I found online, but I think that she looked really well. I did think it was an interesting use of two different types of fabric, like the drapey kind versus the jeweled kind. And then I got to say something about this. So, Miss Valentina, you are not grand and you are not grunt in this outfit for me. You are in between. You are very beautiful, and I couldn't find a screenshot that I wanted. But the biggest problem I have with this fucking outfit is the bustle in the back. There is this weird constructed kind of bow thing, but the problem is it's all made out of this hydrangea style like fabric print. You can't see it very well. It makes her ass look boxy. It makes it look three-dimensional in a weird way. I was literally watching it on TV on Saturday from iTunes and screaming at it, saying, "What the fuck is that? Why are you doing this? If it's fashion, it's not good fashion, in my opinion, because because it's the same fabric. Like it bothers me to no end. Yeah. Also, her nude illusion is not very tight on her body, so it wrinkles. So, just going to call it out. I'm going to say for someone who is so perfect looking all the time, this is, yes, when you get into these nitpicky things.
I was not a fan of this dress either. It just very much like it didn't work for me. I didn't like it. Like I didn't hate it, but I didn't like it or love it. Right. So all right.
So we end up with this situation where we get to the lip sync moment for the show. So Monet, Naomi, and Valentina are in the top three. Farrah, Manila, and Monique are in the bottom three.
And I think that was fair. Except for kind of Manila a little bit. Only because I think she floundered in the girl group in a little bit, but not nearly as badly as a couple of the other girls did. But I guess someone had to be in the bottom.
That's true, which means we're probably getting into some of this. Spoiler warning, since we're getting to the end of the episode, we're going to talk about bottom two and what happens.
Yep.
So we go from top three and bottom three down to top two, which ends up being Monet and Valentina.
Yes.
And then the bottom two ends up being Farrah and Monique. Manila, I think, got saved by the dress. I think she got saved by the runway. It was probably a conscious choice on her part. It may have just naturally lined up the stars that way, but yeah, it saved her ass as far as I'm concerned.
It saved her. It very much saved her. I don't think there's, I mean, in comparison, looking back at her, I agree with who was in the bottom two. I totally agree with that. On the flip of that, Manila's kind of performance was, like I said, I've seen better of her, and I think that was part of the thing that failed her, was that she could have done better. But there were girls I think that probably maybe did a little worse, and right now I can't put it off the top of my head. I'd have to see the girl group perform again to kind of get my idea behind it. But there was someone that to me I was like, ooh, what is going on with you? And I think it was, I don't remember what it was. It was Gia.
Yeah.
It was Gia.
I was going to say, Gia didn't impress me. Gia was okay, but she was, I don't know how, she was mediocre. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. It was very just this. Anyway, moving right along.
So, yeah, that gets us to our next segment then.
The time has come for you to lip sync for your legacy. Good luck, and don't fuck it up.
So this week's lip sync for your legacy was "Into You" by Ariana Grande. There is major show drama in that. Valentina is now a part of the top two, and she has something to prove because she has not lip synced on RuPaul's Drag Race technically ever / successfully in her 1+ seasons. And so she really feels that she needs to step her pussy up, as the saying goes. And I don't blame her. I can understand how she admittedly backstage in the workroom feels very uncomfortable. And I just want to briefly mention that, like, in the timeline of things, I found it very interesting that she wanted to talk about that, and Monique, for some reason, was like jumping and wanting to have the talk with the top two, like, right then. Like, it was just very odd, and I found it kind of funny how Valentina was very composed and very, like, centered and very calm. And was basically like, there's something I want to talk about. And so Monique's very much coming off like, you know, like she's being...
So I get it. Monique was probably worried. She's probably worried about going home, which I can understand, as she should have been. But I think, honestly, it was one of these things where let them have their, let Valentina have let them have their moment of like, hey, we won, we're on the top two, we're doing really well, but now we had to do this part, and let them air. While I agree Valentina can go on, and she did go on according to the edit and whatever, that she went on for a while about this whole thing and making it very telenovela, as I think Trinity put it.
That was one of the best edit parts of the whole fucking show, in my opinion, was when Trinity's like, oh, and she thinks he's in this goddamn star of a telenovela. And then they did that great edit with the filter where she's just staring off and stuff. I was like, oh yeah, give them some free Chipotle for that part of the edit, kids.
That was a very awesome there. That was very good. And
funny.
So I guess I'll go into my little thing
go ahead.
So the story told itself is what I wrote down, and kind of, a la what we were just talking about. Valentina was looking for the redemption because it was an Ariana Grande song that she had the mask on, and I like to keep it on, please, if everyone knows the story, and she didn't know the words, and she got eliminated. So it was this bit of redemption for her to not only, it was great that she won this, and then they chose this song for her to do, that it was also an Ariana Grande song. Like, yay, it worked. Like, the story kind of told itself.
Right.
Like, I need to redeem myself and, do a good lip sync of a song because I didn't do so well in my, on my season. Like the one time she ever had to lip sync for her life is when she got eliminated. I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Yeah. So she had to have that moment, and I get it. And I'm glad that I don't want to say glad they gave it to her. I think, producers being producers kind of knew what was going to happen. It definitely tells itself.
When you know that each episode takes 3 days basically to record, like, so pull back the curtain moment, kids. I have been really tenacious about figuring out timelines and things of that nature. It just really intrigues me about how long it takes to produce each episode, when they actually record, what time of year, like what's happening, what's going on, kind of stuff, because it affects what you actually see, even though they try to like distill a lot of that out or clean it out or whatever. And in this case, so we know that the elimination day is the last day. So we've already done girl group challenges, and we've already done, I think, runway. So if this is a 3-day episode, this is the 3rd day. So going into the beginning of the last day, even though the girls are given a list of all the songs at the beginning of the season when they arrive, and get sequestered in their rooms, and they get their little iPods or, MP3 players, whatever. They know what the songs are. there's been discussion many times that songs have been changed at the last minute. Like on one day they thought it was one song and then the next day it was a different song, which is why some queens say they weren't ready with their words, whatever. In this case, like whether or not Ariana Grande was planned for this day, I don't know. I found it interesting that Ariana Grande's not a guest. Casey Musgraves is there, could have used one of her songs. You know, Sierra's there, could have used one of her songs, but no, they chose Ariana Grande instead.
Agreed. I was wondering why they went with when they have, like, usually we know when they've usually had a performing artist on the show, as a judge, they usually perform one of the songs. They did it with Rizzo or whatever her name was, and a couple of other people in the past. And I'm like, well, I was expecting a Sierra song, honestly, you know, but then when they said, oh, it's going to be an Ariana Grande, so I was like, or Ariana, excuse me. I was like, oh, okay, I know what we're doing here.
Well, what I just realized is for the future, not that World of Wonder pays attention to our little show, but I will say this, as if you want to put a twist on and you have two musical artists on, I think you should do a mashup. I think you should do a mashup of two songs, one by each of the artists, and that's what the lip sync is. Because I would love to see queens actually have to perform two halves of two different songs, like as a mix. Even better, make them go back and forth. Like if you can really work it out and build that production up. But anyways, that's just me. So for me, I thought the lip sync for Your Legacy was obvious from the start. It became so apparent in the first like 15 seconds who was going to win and who was going to lose. I just felt that it was one person was there ready to play the game and the other one was not ready, in that I think they were relying too much on their traditional tricks of the trade. And so while that may not necessarily be helpful, I'm like, sorry, girl.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Monet just didn't have a chance.
She didn't bring it. I mean, she brought, like you said, she brought her, and that just did not work in this particular instance to me. Valentina, you know, as we said, Valentina has something to prove. She wanted to prove that she could perform a song, that she knew the words to the song, and that she could redeem herself for her utter failure from a couple years ago.
Right.
So it made sense that she performed the fuck out of this song. Granted, I will give her, I need to say one little thing and one thing only. If you are going to wear that loose of a dress in this number and dance around and twirl and whatever, put on some fucking panties or whatever. Do something, because that was distracting. Because I kept waiting for the like honestly, if the dress had undone and she was wearing like something a la when she did the Madonna thing and had very little on, I would have been like, yes, go for that. That would have been it. But when it kept like spinning and she was doing these spins and it was like just connected like right here at the hip and maybe on the breast a little bit, it just kept getting distracting for me.
I wasn't distracted. I kept noticing the edit blur.
Yeah,
like that
well,
they had to right that they had to blur her butt, like, and they had to blur her front because because it appears she may not have really been wearing any panties or anything. Like
anything. Who
like
knows?
she might have just actually been tucked.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Which is pretty fucking ballsy. No pun intended. I mean, but she already pushed the envelope when she did the Madonna challenge and came out buck ass naked with 2 cardboard strips like taped, like super glued to her. Or whatever. Like, I mean, it was just that was crazy then, so I wouldn't be surprised if girl wasn't wearing no panties underneath that dress. It cracked me up to no end that they had to go get lipsticks, and I was like, where the hell she gonna hide it?
I know, right?
She ain't got no titties on, she ain't got no bra. Like, where's she gonna put the lipstick?
I feel like she did something, like either.
Oh, I think she handed it to the production staff. I think someone just held it for her. And then gave it back.
There you go. And then gave it back because she was holding it in her hand when the elimination happened. And I'm just like, agreed. Like, where the hell is she going to pull that out of? I mean,
yeah. So we've already said spoiler alert enough times. I'm not going to say it again, but Valentina wins.
Yay, Valentina.
I feel happy for her. I think it was well deserved. It was all for her. May have been narrated that way. I don't give a shit. she did well. I was very impressed. She knew how to lip sync. She knows how to move. She chopped Farrah.
Yep.
I don't disagree. I just
Let me man, I just think honestly that it wasn't fair. I don't want to say it wasn't Farrah's time. I just agree, but I kind of feel that way.
okay.
You know, I think after her fall, bye Farrah.
Bye, girl.
After her fall, she was rattled, if not before, you know, and she didn't get an opportunity to really bring that back into, you know, put herself back into place there.
Right.
I just felt bad about that, and I'm going to change something really quickly, but go ahead.
So my thing is, you know, that Farrah got chopped. If you watch the What You're Packing with Michelle Visage and Farrah, they talk about the fall. Farrah talks about how hard the fall was, that she got a bruise on her hip, like the big bruise. So it does kind of surprise me a little bit that Farrah didn't have more of a problem, like medically. Like, I mean, she did, if you go back and watch it, I mean,
Yeah.
I have fallen that hard in my life on my tailbone, which is more probably excruciatingly painful than your hip is. But yeah, like it was just one of these things. And she kind of admits that really messed her up for that. And like, I think it really kind of shook her confidence some, and that she just, you know, in a way kind of didn't get it back. And, you know, so let's jump back before we get into cool down to go back to the Gia Gunn gaggery.
You saw what I changed.
Maybe, I don't know. My thing is that I just want to say that there's this whole part 2 of the Gia Gunn goopery, and goopery is not the right thing because that's meant to be positive. It is really gaggery about the fact that she decides during the deliberation when they're all back in the workroom and the queens are separated and talking, she decides to interrupt. And I was like, the look on Latrice and Manila's faces in that camera shot.
Yes.
I was like, all right, this is the reason why they are Drag Race legends. I'm sorry. They're both like gobsmacked that this is going to happen. And they're like the look just says, what the fuck? And are you fucking kidding me? Like all in one moment.
Yes. I was so, you have no idea how I was sitting here watching that Friday night and I was just like, who the fuck do you think you are? And I, that was the face I saw on Latrice, on Manila, on Monet, on Farrah. Like everyone was just like really right now, you were doing this right now.
Right. And she says the reason that she did it was because she didn't know how the elimination was going to go, and she didn't want to, you know, leave things on bad terms. She wanted Farrah to know that she would at least attempt, you know, to maintain their friendship, yada yada. Interestingly,
Bullshit.
So Valentina pulls the lipstick from wherever, from one hand to the other, and basically says, you know, that she hopes that, you know, that this decision was very painful and very hard, and that it doesn't affect things. Farrah Moan has really good witty timing and says, you don't love me. And then Valentina says, oh, but girl, I do. And then that's what's great is Farrah goes, I know, I'm just kidding. Like, while she's still upset, like that she knows that she's going home, she was still good about it. And then, you know, gets a hug from Valentina, says goodbye to the girls, actually hugs Gia Gunn, and they catch it on the mic that Gia Gunn says, you know, about like wanting to stay in touch or whatever. And Farrah says, you don't love me. And walks to the back and says goodbye and goes off stage.
That shit right there was epic for me. I was just like, we literally just had this moment where where, I mean, in the, during the deliberation where Farrah and Valentina are talking, and Valentina was worried that, she asked her point blank, like, would this affect our friendship, as it were? And Valentina said, or not Valentina, Farrah said she would be heartbroken. And I will admit that she probably would have been, and she was. Like, I'm sure she wasn't. She didn't want to leave. No one ever wants to leave this early, blah, 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 blah. But she took that moment to solidify her friendship with Valentina by giving us just that little, like, just kidding kind of thing, which is, I mean, maybe she was hurt and maybe she isn't kidding. Who cares? But in that moment, we just got that little taste of like, oh, I still want to be friends with you. I know we're going to be friends after this. I may just need a moment, kind of thing. But literally right after that, we get the whole Gia and Farrah thing. And Farrah's like, nope, you don't love me. And walks off. Like, that's the biggest fuck you I've ever. I loved it. Loved it. I'm so glad we caught that moment. Because to me, that was like it. To me, that's the coffin in Gia Gunn. It's almost like we need one more little nail and.
Well, and in the reveal of next week, Trinity's out for blood, it appears, and she makes it known that bitch gotta go.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, like there's blood in the water, and the sharks are gonna feast soon, and you best be careful, girl. You ready to move on to our section? Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines, and may the best all-star win.
Okay, Damon, snaps and eye rolls time, our hits and misses.
Yes.
Highs and lows. What were your thoughts?
Okay, so my snaps go back to Miss Manila's runway look. I absolutely loved it. I felt it was so glamorous, so pretty. It's the best I've ever seen her. And I just love it. Like, zipper aside, whatever. I didn't see it. I don't care. But it just all in all just was very well done, well maintained. Kudos to her, whoever made that look, because I doubt she made it herself, who made that look, and it just worked so well on her. So yay, good, great, loved it. Mm-hmm. So my eye rolls are to Gia's quote-unquote apology during the deliberation. As we just kind of talked about, Gia takes Farrah's time with Monet, I believe it was Monet, I'm pretty sure it was Monet, to walk over. And not only that, so let me just like set the scene, because this is why it was so gag-worthy for me. Because it's not just like, I'm going to walk over and not say anything to like the other queens. I'm just going to go do it. She had made a point to say something on the couch where the other queens were. And that's, to me, why I think it's being manipulative and being like shady and being a bitch. Because if she really wanted to be a friend to Farrah, she would have done it between the two. So let Monet and Farrah have their conversation. And then when Farrah gets up to maybe go over to Valentina, stop her then and just say, hey, before you go, I want to have a conversation with you. I want to say something to you. I really, 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 value our friendship, and I want to value that after this, and I hope that we can be friends afterwards. If she had done it then, I might have been okay with it. Maybe not so much, but a little bit more than literally interrupting the few minutes or whatever she has with the person who has the power to eliminate her, and take that to be a moment for you. And that's what it looked like to me. You were using this time to be a moment all about you.
So your snaps and eye rolls are pretty much parallel to mine. I use different words, but I feel the same way. My snaps are for being a star. I think there were two particular individuals that kind of stood out to me, that really carried themselves high and did well in this regards, mostly overall for the episode. Even though I know that she had a stumble, like in the performance for Manila, I think that she kept her, like, she stays out of the fray, and she doesn't really get involved, but at the same time, she's kind of holding herself in a certain way. And she, did really well on the runway. Trinity is a part of that, like, kind of grouping that is, like, I think it seems like a sense of maturity. Like, I don't have time for this, like, bullshit and these shenanigans, and I'm going to just do what I do, which is look great and perform well and all that kind of jazz. And Valentina, I have to give it to her that, she did well. She can sing. And she's going to be playing Angel in Rent in the live television production, which is been, getting a lot of clapback that people think it's outrageous that she's playing Angel. But now I'm intrigued that she is going to be in that role because she can sing. And I'm really surprised by it. So there's an interesting cross-marketing kind of thing, that comes about it. So she did, Valentina did well in the Selena kind of, homage thing. And then she did well on the runway. So, it
was a very put together look.
It was. And then she knocked it out of the park in the lip sync. So, I have to give recognition to that. And she sees herself as a star and is kind of maintaining that. My eye rolls are for what I call delusions of grandeur. There are two particular people who are just drinking too much Kool-Aid of their own making. And the first one, I will agree with you, is Gia. She just, for some reason, thinks that she's like fresh tilapia, which is more like snapping turtle at this moment. It is just, in my opinion, being a problem. Sorry, that wasn't right. I should have said snapper. But, it's still a fish. It's just, anyways.
Yeah, got it.
My thing is, like, you're just no girl. Like, you need to be careful because you're in trouble. And the second one that I think is Delusions of Grandeur, I have to call it out, Monique Hart. Well, I love her dearly, and I think that I want to kiki with her. She is too much in this weird thing where they said in confessional, and maybe it was out of timeline, but when she says, like, was I bad? Like, what was wrong with this fabulous, talented? And I'm like, girl. Like, you were not that fabulous. You were not that talented. And I hope you could see that when you watch this episode.
I hope she sees it before she watches this episode. I hope she sees her literal, like, top to bottom fall. I hope it's a wake-up call. I doubt it will be, but I hope it will be. I hope it would be. Because to me, it was very much you came into the first episode and got a win, essentially. Not the full win, but you got a win.
Right.
Which is a good redemption for you. Good for you. We now know you can sing. We now know you can perform really well. You need to keep your fucking wigs on, but that's beside the point.
Or is it?
No. Yeah. And that to me was like it. But you went from that to this very mismatchy, like, performance of this song. You did not, lead your group well. You changed things far too much. You didn't really give any cohesion. Nothing really worked. It all kind of fell a little flat. And then your look in the performance and the runway were not that great. They were the first one. The Aaliyah homage was not on point.
Right.
It was off center. Your grand elegance after dark kind of look was tacky.
I agree.
Like, I just wish you could have looked at that and either, like, maybe taken off the gloves or maybe not done the reveal. If you had taken off the gloves and not done the reveal, I would have been okay with this. Or not do the reveal, just take it off already. Just have it off. We don't need to see the reveal. We know. I don't think it would have. I think if you had just kept the gloves off and put on a couple of nice necklaces or not necklace bracelets or whatever that matched the purple tones of the dress and came out with the nude illusion, the kind of idea of elegance after dark, I would have gotten that a lot more. May not instead of the reveal. I'm just putting it out there.
Right.
Because to me, the reveal needs to be like like amazing.
Right.
And if it had completely fallen apart, meaning like the bottom and the top fell off and you had this like body nude illusion kind of similar to the dress, where the bottom was like a skinner, like a sleeker look to with the kind of purpley fabric or something along those lines that was more to the body, a la what you were doing up top, would have been gagged. But instead, we kind of got this half-ass-ish kind of thing, and it just fell for me. So you, Monique, need to like elevate some things, because you're.
I just figured out what the problem with me was with that look, especially after the reveal, was it came across as like porn star goes to the AV eyes. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, you're going to this award show, and so you dressed up, but you also got to show the girls off. Like, it was just so weird to me. I was like, I don't understand why you feel you have to make that look, kind of thing. And I agree with you. There were ways that could have enhanced that. So, yeah.
And I think it just would have been a lot. I mean, agreed. Like, could have been better.
I don't necessarily agree with you that Monique may not bounce back. I think both her and Manila like have something to prove, because they did end up in the bottom three. Manila got saved by her dress, and Michelle did say to her, you need to look in the mirror and you know what you need to do to take care of yourself.
Agreed.
So yeah, that's a thing. I think that's basically it for us for this episode. We ran a little long, but there was a lot to talk about because there was drama. Imagine that.
Drama.
So if you would like to get in touch with us between episodes, you can go to our blog, cubsoutloud.com. You can also send us an email, which is cubsoutloud@gmail.com. You could also leave us a voicemail message if you would like, and we would play it during the show. That number is 361-COL-TALK. That's 361-265-8255. You can follow us online at Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Just basically type in Cubs Out Loud as one word, and you'll find us on there. If you would like to join our Entourage chat, you can go to tinyurl.com/telegram-COLDR. You can join us in the chat in there. Basically, because we're recording on Sunday nights, which is 2 nights after the show airs, as of right now, we're kind of effectively lifting the ban on the discussion of the episode in the chat, most likely. If you would like to support us, you could do so. You can go to our merch store at zazzle.com/CubsOutLoud, and you can buy a fabulous shirt like us. This one that has our Cubs Out Loud logo for Drag Race. It has a little tiara. It says Drag Race. Yeah, I don't know if they have tiaras there, but, you know. We might look into that. You could also subscribe to us at patreon.com/CubsOutLoud. And that support obviously is for Cubs Out Loud overall, as well as the Cubs Out Loud Drag Race part. You can rate us on iTunes, Google Play Podcast, subscribe, pretty much anywhere. Comment on the show on YouTube Online, or in your RSS feeds for the audio version of this, which becomes a podcast thread. Damon, if they would like to get in touch with you, where would they find you online?
Well, you can find me as Theater Cup 79 on Growler and Facebook and not Tumblr anymore. Well, I am on Tumblr. You can find me on Tumblr as Theater Cup 79. You can kind of find me there.
Yeah. I understand what you mean by the whole, like, we'll get into that in our regular show, I'm sure, talking about Tumblr later. If you want to get in touch with me, you can pretty much find me anywhere online if I do have an account, which I've been kind of cutting some of them out. It's Garber73, GARBEAR73. Oh, girl. But that's a wrap for episode 2. We're moving into episode 3. 2 queens down, 7 to go, and then we'll have someone crowned.
Ding!
But until then, just remember, baby, we're all born naked, and the rest is drag.
I'm telling the truth now. I'm telling the truth now. All born naked and the rest is drag. Who do you think you? Who? Telling the truth now. Who do you think you? We're all born naked and the rest is drag.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Ooh, girl. Hour, 42, 43 minutes. The long show. And with that, I'm going to stop streaming.
There you go.